Gameweek 28 is a make or break as an FPL manager. You should know this. There are going to be some big captaincy calls that you would have to make as an FPL manager. Some huge fixtures which could swing either ways, and there are going to be some rank changing differentials you must consider and have in your teams if you are chasing green arrows this week and the subsequent game weeks. And this video is for you. It's going to be a good start for you, so you should watch this. As you know, Gameweek 28 is almost upon us, and as FPL managers, you need to set up your team. You need some tips, and this video is purposely for you to get you some tips, to give you an idea of some differentials to also consider, and also to give you a fair idea of some good players to consider as captaincy choices. So before we do get into it, I would like you to kindly hit that subscribe button. Very important. Like, share, leave a comment. Let us know what your plans are also heading into the game week. So as I said, game week 28, you need to make some very, very crucial decisions. And we are here to make it very easy for you. So in my prior video, that was game week 27, the review, we spoke a whole lot about some very important things you could be looking at, as in the FDLs, to know the kind of fixtures some of the teams have, the kind of run, to know which kind of players to bring into your team, who to take out. We spoke about that. We also gave you a few analysis of the player stats, some of the players that were in very good form for the game week. So we'll just go through a few things. So for game week 27, you had O'Reilly, as I said earlier on in my previous video, O'Reilly leading the charts with a massive 17 points. So all managers who had him were very, very pleased with that. Henderson also gave very good points for the very few managers who own them. So heading into game week 28, we want to see some of the most transferred in. Of course, after an excellent performance in game week 27, I'm sure most managers will rush in for him. So that's why you have O'Reilly leading the charts. He's the most transferred in so far for game week 28. You have Virgil van Dijk as well, also one of the most brought in players for the game week. You have Saboslai, you have Thiago Semenyo, some good players. You have Hill in the mix. So you have a few differentials in the very good selection from some managers. And the most transferred out, you'd expect the Chelsea players, because Chelsea have a very wicked run coming up. Nevertheless, I believe that this is a Chelsea team that are quite determined. So if you want to be extra bold, you could leave that one Chelsea player, and I'm thinking you could consider Palmer or Joao Pedro, who would easily give you some good points throughout the fixtures. But if you feel you just want to be very safe, just take them out and you'll be good to go. So we've spoken a lot about FDR and player stats. So that is just a fair idea of some of the players that have been brought in and taken out. So you'd want to also consider that for your team if you expect some good ranks this game week. So if you looked at the player stats, and and for differentials, I think it's something that it's very important to consider this time of the season, because you would have some difficult fixtures coming up. You would have a little bit of fatigue. You have players playing a whole lot of games, so the performance would be here and there. So differentials are going to play a very vital role. Last for game week 27, we saw that we had differentials playing a massive role. So if you look at it, we have Riley owned by about 7.6, which makes him a clear differential. Most managers didn't have him. Henderson, Eze, it will be McAllister. So like the first 5 players were all differentials, and they gave massive points. Jokeres was owned by a good number of more than 10%. So at least that is okay. And he provided good points. Mitchell, Raul, they were all owned by very few players, and they gave massive, massive points. So Virgil was the only one who was owned by somewhat good number of managers, 25.8, but he also provided good returns. But that was like out of the top 5, which you'd really need to consider. So even though you're going to get some players in there, you look at that, you go through, you realize that most of the players who gave very good points were owned by very few managers, which is something you should consider if you want to succeed. So if your top players are not given massive returns. You have your differential also adding up, and if your top players are to give massive returns, you'd also still have your differential giving or adding up to it, which is going to be a plus to you. So some players that I think you should consider for differentials this game week, I'll be looking at the likes of Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Nottingham would have a good run coming up, and he's low price, so it's going to be a plus if you have him. I'll also be looking at James Hill from Bournemouth, so he's also going to be a plus if you have him this game week. If you want someone low price as a defense as a defender, you would have Hill from Bournemouth. He's going to be a good selection for you. So you could see in the most transferred in, most managers are getting him in. So when it comes to defensive contributions, you get a few good returns from him as well. So you could consider that. Anderson, as I said, from Nottingham, most managers are also considering him because he's low price and could easily help with your differentials. And you have Dango from Brentford. He's also low price, as I mentioned, and he's also being brought in by quite a few managers. If you go, you consider the ICT, all these players have good ratings there, so it could be a plus. And one player that most managers are not really looking at that I think could be a plus would be Gravenberch from Liverpool. It's still a 50-50 affair for me, as I would want to see how he goes about his business. But I think it could be a very wild differential you could have. You also have Tavernier. He's also from Bournemouth, and he just returned from injury, so that would also be a good addition, as he's provided some good returns this season. So hopefully he continues with that. So as I mentioned, Gravenberch is also in the mix thereabout. So it could be a good addition to your team if you don't have him yet. So for captaincy choices and my team review, let's get into it and see how it's going to go for Game Week 28. So this is my team review for the game week. I took some few players out. I brought in Hill as a good differential. I took Joao Pedro out. I brought in Higo from Liverpool to help with things. I've brought Wilson back, as I see even though they are playing against Spurs, they are playing at home, and this season at home they've been very, very good. So Spurs are yet to win a game in the EPL for 2026. So I'm hoping Fulham can continue with that good run and also punish Spurs and Wilson providing some good returns for most managers. So I've brought Wilson back. I've introduced Higo. I've brought Hill into my team as well, and I took some few players out. So that's how I was looking for my team 3-4-3. This is my team for the game week, and I'm giving the captaincy to Thiago. They face Burnley, so hopefully, even though he's been blanking a while, he could provide some massive returns for me this game week. But if you are looking at, you want to consider other options for captaincy choices. For the main choices, I would consider Thiago, as I mentioned earlier on, and I also consider Higo. They take on West Ham, so you'd also want to look at them. So these are my main captaincy choices for the game week. And if you want differential, something out of the blue that could easily reward you, you should be looking at Rodgers and either Haaland or Semenyo. I'm still contemplating on who to go with for City. So you would have Rodgers from Aston Villa, then City. It's either you go for Semenyo or you go for Haaland. Just either of the two should give you some good returns for the game week. So that's how it's looking for the game week 28. I hope for massive returns for all managers. We are out.